Hey guys, so I'm just back today showing you about the remainder of the PyCam project. So this will be part 2 of the project. It'll be connecting up the alarm for the surveillance system. Now, sorry for the state of my desk, it's just a bit messy since I've had quite a few projects going on, but essentially this is the Pi here, this is the relay, this is my wiring, and here's the camera module I'm using as well, and the other camera as well. I'll go more into that later, but first things first, I'll take this apart and show you how it all works so that you can have an understanding and set yours up the same. So I'll be back in just a moment. Alright, so let's go start off by taking it apart. So this is the case that I'm using. It's an aluminum case, and I'm just feeding the wires through where the ribbon cable would go if you had something put in through one of the ribbon cable slots. Remember again, mine's a Pi 3. So with this case here, I'm just going to start by removing the side panels first. So I'm going to take the screws and just put them somewhere safe. As you can see, I just got a bottle cap over there. Okay, so the face plates will come off now. This one here does as well, but it's just still connected with the wires, so I can't properly take it off. And then we've got the last 2 screws at the bottom, as you can see here, to remove the motherboard. So these are the larger ones. Always remember the bottom ones are the larger ones. Alright, and now the board should just slide right on out. Might need a little bit of persuasion. So because I've crammed quite a lot into my board, it's a little bit tight fit. So as you can see, I've got the fans that I purchased on here as well because I needed the extra cooling. After trying them out, to be honest with you, didn't really make that much of a difference, maybe only 10 degrees. I guess it's better than nothing. It's up to you if you want to use them. Now if you have a look on the side here, I'll show you how I've wired up my relay and the fans. So if you see here, I've got the fans put into these 2 pins here. So if you have a look at the instructions for the fans, if I can find them, they're over here. The instructions tell you how to plug in your fan. So it shows you the pin out up here. I'll put it a bit closer so you can see. Alright. So essentially I've got mine set up like that. And let's focus back on the Pi. Alright. So that's how I've got mine set up, and then I've got the additional wires running to the relay. So the relay will need a constant 5-volt power supply, a ground, and it needs the GPIO pin to control it. So this is my constant 5-volt, which is the first one, and I'll put a picture up on the screen in the top left or something over there so you can have a look. But you understand as I'm explaining it. So the Pi is orientated like that. The top one is the constant 5-volt charge. The next one down here is one of the ground line. Actually, no, sorry, this is the GPIO pin that I'm using, which I'll go more into later. And then on the back is the ground line that I'm using. I decided to use that one rather than the one over here, so that way I can plug in my fan and I don't need to modify the fan connector, as it goes straight into the slots that it was designed to go in, which is 1 and, or you know, whatever, those ones. It's also plugged into a constant 5-volt supply and a grounding pin, so that way that it's always getting power. Now I've also got some sticky tape which just came off, unfortunately, that I've got on the side here, and it's just to cover the pins, just to make sure that, you know, they don't arc on the case, because the last thing you want is to have the pins speaking to the case, and then, you know, you're sending a signal to your relay telling your alarm to come on when you don't want it to come on, and then you can't turn it off. So that's how I've got that set up. As you can see here, I've already got them going through here. So the way I did it is I soldered them first, pushed them through, and then I soldered them onto the relay. I would show you how they've been wired in here as well, but I've just got them in the hot glue because I didn't want them to arc again, so I just hot glued them in there to make sure that they stayed in their spot. It's not that I'm worried about my solder work, because I'm pretty confident in the solder work. I was yanking on the cables pretty hard. As you can see, they're not coming out. So yeah, just in case, for extra precautions. And I'll explain how I've got it set up with the how the cables do go into the relay, and I'll also have a picture I'll draw up and put in front of the screen in just a moment. Now, essentially the way it works is, if we have a look, I can trace the wires. So the GPIO pin is the trigger pin, which is going to be the one that tells the relay to switch. So this one here is the trigger pin, which is the one all the way to the far left. The middle one is probably going to be the feed, if I'm correct. Yep, the middle one is the 5-volt feed, and then the one all the way to the right will be the ground pin. So where is that? That's this one here. As you can see, you probably can't, but that's this one here. So it goes like this, left to right. Okay, left is your, hold on, I'll focus it for you. Left is your trigger pin, middle is your constant 5-volt pin, and right is your ground pin. Okay, alright, so now in regards to this side here, this is the side that you're going to be plugging in your what's it called, your alarm. So if you're using an alarm, or you might decide you're using a light, this is how you're gonna have to wire it up. So let me just grab that 1 second, I'll be back. Okay, so I'm gonna try and explain it to you guys as best as I can with what I've got here. So just because I don't have the transformer, this is how we're going to explain it. So let's pretend that you've got these two wires here. One is your positive feed and one is your negative feed. So this is DC power, direct current. So you make sure you've got the right way, otherwise it won't work. The same thing goes with the siren. So I'll bring the siren in here. So as you can see, it's pretty big if you compare it to everything else. This thing will be loud. Now it's got a positive and a negative feed. I would test it for you, but I just don't want to test it right now while I'm doing this. I'll show you with it in action one day. But essentially how it works is you figure out which side here is your positive and which side is your negative. And obviously with most things, the one with the two lines, so black is always negative, but if you've got two wires that are both black, you need to figure out which one has the line in it. So what I would recommend, if you don't know this, is you can just tap them together like so, and what will happen is, if you get them correct, when you touch it together, the siren will go off. If you get it the other way around, then it won't work. So you can test this yourself, and don't worry about breaking anything. You shouldn't break anything. If you get them the wrong polarity, the siren just won't go on. So make sure you figure out which way is the right way for your setup, and then you remember that. So let's pretend that on this one here, this is our negative and this is our positive. So what you do is you get your negative from the siren, which is the one with the black and red, and you're going to connect both of the negatives together. So I'm just going to twist them together for now. If I was doing this properly, I would solder them, but anyways, you're going to connect them together like that. And then what you got to do is you're going to get your positive 12 volt, which is from your input, so from the 12 volt transformer we're using, and that one goes in the middle. So you have to unscrew the thing, pop that in there, and then screw it down until it's in there tight and it won't come out. And then what you do is you get your positive line from the siren, and you put that into either the left one or the right one on either side. So for me, I put it in the left one, and that means that whenever I flick the relay on, the siren will go on. But for some people, they might want it set up the other way if it's a light or something, so they might want to have it always on unless they turn it off. That's up to you. It's just preference. I use the middle one for the negative, and then I use the left one for the positive wire going into the siren. So let me just reiterate that, sorry, just to make sure we're not confused. The negative wires connect to each other, so the negative from the siren connects to the negative wire on your transformer. The positive wire coming from your transformer goes into the middle of the relay, and then the positive wire going to your siren goes into the left of the relay. So that way, when we trigger the relay from our software, it will go on and off, and you'll hear it click, and the siren should go on and off if you've got it wired correctly. If for some reason it doesn't go off, just check you've got your polarities right, because that's usually the problem, okay? So that's how you would wire that up, and I'll have the circuit diagram there. You can pause it and have a look at it, and whenever you're ready, you can go ahead. Essentially, that's pretty much it. So I'm just going to move these out of the way so I can show you some other stuff. With the Pi, I did purchase these fans, which I was telling you about, and they're okay. I did have some issues fitting them, as you might be able to see if I bring it up close. You can see that the pins are a bit bent there. Let me bring it here. So as you can see, I had to bend them over to fit the fan in, which is unfortunate, but it is what it is. Again, the fan kind of doesn't really sit all the way in there. I don't think you can see that. Hold on, let me get you a light. Okay. So as you can see, if you look in there, you kind of can see the fan doesn't really stick in there all the way. Like it sort of gets the heat sink, but not really. Like it's just on it, but it's not. But then you've also got this copper piece that they give you on the bottom for cooling down your memory. Now look, it's really done minimal effect for me. It's probably done 10 degrees if anything. So it's up to you if you want to purchase one of these. If not, then don't. Maybe you can find a more efficient one that's a bit smaller, that fits a bit better and actually gets down onto the actual processor, because this one here doesn't. And yeah, apart from that, that's the board. I'll just reassemble it now. You guys can watch. I'll speed it up for you all so you don't have to waste your time. Just before I do speed it up though, if you're having any troubles getting it into the enclosure, the way I recommend is you put this in here like this first. You might struggle to get it in once it gets to there. You might not, depending on how yours is set up. But once you've got it in, just pull it forward with your fingers so that they so that the ports actually line up correctly. Let me refocus that for you. So that the ports line up correctly. Oh jeez, man, this focus is terrible today. Alright, so now what I'll do is I'll just hold it where it is, and I'll flip it over. And if you've got the feet on it, which you should, just make sure you line them up over there at the top, and you're gonna go grab them and just screw them in. So let me get my feet. And remember, these are the bigger and fatter ones that they use for the feet, so just get that and screw it in place. And then the longer, thinner ones for the sides. And then just with the side where your cables are, make sure that they're not sitting on top of the fan if you can. Try and feed them around if possible. And get it nice and snug up there. So just place it in. If done correctly, your holes should line up at the top like that. If you can see that. And just slip the screws in. And just screw that all back up. for some reason I always have problems with this one screw on this side here. I don't know if that's just a defect with the packaging, or if that's just me because I don't know how to hold it properly. But I always have problems with just this one screw. It's in there now. And that's it, it's back together, ready to go. You might want to find a box to put this in, so I've just purchased a small box that sort of works. I haven't really figured out how I'm going to set it up yet, so I've drilled a couple holes accidentally, but essentially I'm just going to have this sitting in here. To the way that I think I'm going to do it is I'm just going to have that in there like that. So as you can see, it sits in there quite nicely, quite snug. I'll just have to route the wires out of the hole or through a hole or something. And then I'll have the camera module sitting in on this side like that. And let me just take this out so that the camera actually fits through it. And as you can see, it does fit through, and I'll just probably make it a little bit more less obvious so that you can't tell that there's a camera in there. But I'm still working on that, and I'll take photos for you guys once I've got that all set up. So that's up to you guys how you want to set your end up. This is how I'm doing mine. I was going to try and do something here for the cables to go through, but I decided I didn't need to do that. So yeah, that's pretty much it for that, guys. I don't think there's anything else I can think of. Yeah, just make sure you've got yours set up in a way that's suitable for you. You might have to tailor it out your way. Now, if you are doing this alarm system, you need to know how to get the actual code working on your computer. So let's go over to the computer and get the code going so you can actually have the buttons to set the alarm off. Okay guys, so this part here is going to be the tricky part. So if you guys know anything about Linux, then you'll know a little bit about this. Otherwise, if you don't, let's go about a few ways that we can do this quite easily. So what you're going to need to do is you're going to need to have a way to SSH into the Pi. So for me, usually what I do is I just come in here, type cmd, and then because I've got a Linux subsystem installed, I just type bash and it'll load my Linux subsystem, as you can see. But a lot of you people don't have this, so I'm going to show you guys a really good program. It's called Putty. This is free. Download Putty. It's a free SSH application. You can download Putty here. Download it. You need an installer so you can install it, so just pick which one you're using. So I'm using a 64-bit system, so I would recommend you download the MSI installer, not the binary files. I don't think they have a portable version. No, they don't. That's alright. Just download the 64-bit installer.msi. If you're on Linux, you don't need this. If you're on Mac, you don't need this. This is only for if you're on Windows. If you're on Linux or Mac, all you need to do is type, I'll show you in a second actually. So if you're on Windows, just install this now. Open it up, press next. Pick wherever you want to install it. I'm just going to install it somewhere else. And there we go, next. Install Putty, add shortcut to desktop. If you want to do that, put install directory on the path for command prompts. I guess just press install. Hopefully this doesn't break my bash. Maybe I'm just gonna not do that. Okay, you guys can install it, but I just don't want it to break my Linux subsystem, since this is quite useful to me and I rather use this. If you guys want to learn how to do the Linux subsystem yourself, just Google that and figure it out. You can install bash onto your Windows computer. Otherwise, let's just quickly get a photo of Putty. If you take a look on Google Images, it'll look something like this when you log on. all you need to do is click SSH. You type the host IP address, which will be the one for your Raspberry Pi, and you will need to put in the password. So you might need to go into somewhere in here and sort that out. Just have a quick look around on Google. You might find out you might have some issues. Otherwise, if you have the Linux subsystem installed like me, and or you're running a Mac or a Linux computer, this is really easy. Look, all you need to do is type SSH. Let me just see if I've got the original command in there. It's actually SSH, and then you need to do admin, and then your IP address, and then you do your password, and then we're in, as you can see. So that's done. And once you're into the Pi and you're on this page, we're gonna go through this. So alright guys, so I'm back after a little bit of time and I found it. So if we have a look here, we're now in there. So what you need to do is you need to go type cd/ then cd data, like that, and then cd etc, and then we go ls, and we've got all the stuff in here. So I've located where I've put them all. You got alarm 1, you got alarm 2. So alarm off 1, alarm off 2. This is for the cameras, so that's why I've got 2 of each. To have a look in it, all we need to do is go, for example, type nano, and then you type alarm underscore off underscore 1. So I'll explain how that works for you. The way that it's set is you've got alarm, which is telling which icon to use. Then you've got off, which tells it that it's the off one, not the on one. And then you've got 1, which means it's assigned to camera 1, which is this one here. I'll show you a list of all the other things that you can have in there in just a second, but for now we'll open this one up. We'll open it up, and as you can see, I've got the code in here. So if you use the same sort of stuff as me, if you use GPIO pin 18, it'll apply to 18. If you use a different one, so for example, where is the where are we here? So we used 18, which is BCM 18, which is actually physical pin 12, but regardless, I chose this one because this one was the best one for it. You can use any of the other pins here that are programmable, but I recommend using this one because this is the one that I used and it will make your life easier. So this is your trigger pin, remember. Now, if what we need to do is we need to type this. I just got this code from somewhere. I don't remember exactly where I got it from. But what I'll do is I'll copy and paste that into a notepad, and I'll paste that into the comments down below. So, whoops. Yeah, I did. So I've got this here. I'll post it down there, down below for you. And echo 0 is going to be on or off. So once you put this in here, just right click to paste it, and then you're going to press Control X, which will ask you if you want to save, if you've made any changes, and then you just press yes, and then you can exit out. So just read what it says down the bottom. Actually, you know what, just so I can show you guys, I'll change something. So here, let's change, where's my cursor? Alright, let's add a space there, Control X. So here it asks you if you want to change it, press yes, and then just press enter now, and it'll save it. So I'm just going to go change it back and delete the space that I made there just in case it breaks it. Control X, yes, enter. Okay, so now what you do is we're going to just go ls again, so that we have the directory in front of us and we know what the next one's called. So we're going to go nano, and you might actually have to create this. So let me teach you how to create a file. Hold on 1 second. Yeah, so if you want to create it, it's pretty much the same thing. So what I showed you will show you how to create the file. So just type nano and the name of the file you want to have, which is now alarm underscore off underscore 2. Now remember that this applies for each camera. So if you've got one camera, you don't need to do the two, just do alarm on and alarm off for your one camera. If you've got two cameras, then you need to do alarm on and alarm off for camera 1 and camera 2. If you've got more than two, then it just continues like that. If you've got number 3, you need to do alarm on and alarm off for number 1, 2 and 3, and so on and so forth. And that's pretty much it. So I'll just show you the alarm on for number 1, just so you can see the difference. Now as I told you before, it's the echo that's changed, so I'll copy and paste this one for you guys as well, just so that you have that in there as well. So as you can see here, I'll put it in my Word document to make sure to put in the description for you guys. So we'll go on, and I should probably put this at the top, like that. So remember not to type this part here, so I'll just put 2 hashes there anyways, just in case. On, and then you've got hash off. Okay, so I'll save that for you guys, and that'll be for when you need to make your own one. And just remember how to start the file name. I'll put that in the description as well. So we're gonna exit that, and here I will just copy that for you now. Oops. And it's like that. Nano alarm on 1, nano alarm on 2 if you have 2 cameras, nano alarm off 1, and nano alarm off 2. Okay, I'll put all of that in the description for you guys so that you know where it is and what to do with it. And once you've done that, that's pretty much it. So if you go ls, you'll see these, they won't be green now. So you need to do one more thing to make them work. Now you need to make them executable. Alright, so what you need to do is, then you need to get the names for each one. So just highlight it like that. If that's easier for you, go Control C, then come down here and type CHMOD, and then you go plus X, and then you go space again, and then you just enter the name in there, and then hit enter. So if you have a look now, type ls, and you should see yours has gone green. If it hasn't, try again, make sure you got the name right, and do that for all of them. Okay, so do it for alarm off 1, alarm off 2, alarm on 1, and alarm on 2. Only the ones that you have created, don't touch anything else. Everything else is set up the way it should be. Okay, now once you've done that and you've set up all of your buttons, then you'll have to refresh your view, and then they should pop up. So mine are already there because they've already been there, but yours should come up now as well. And just before we go any further, I'll show you the other buttons that you can have, so I'll explain it to you as well. Okay, cool. So as you can see here, I've chosen alarm. Now these are the other combinations you can have. So you could have lock on 1, or lock and unlock. So instead of having alarm off, that part there would say lock. So for whatever reason, if you're locking something, it'll lock it. If you're locking a gate, maybe, I don't know, unlocking it will unlock it. Light on will turn a light on, light off will turn a light off. It's pretty much, it depends to you. It's all of these buttons sort of do the same thing. One of them does one thing, one of them does the opposite. It really depends on how you program it as well. And it'll just give you a different icon. That's the only difference that they've got in here. Okay, so that's why I chose alarm, because it was the right icon for me. I could have chose light on or light off, but I didn't, because I didn't, like, you know, I didn't need to. If there wasn't an alarm option, I would have chosen that one, because it's the same thing. So you guys can choose whatever you want for whatever icon you want, whatever floats your boat. And yeah, that's pretty much it. So I think that concludes our video. I might add a snippet below of what the system looks like when it's all set up. But yeah, that's it, guys. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you have any questions, just make sure to leave me a comment down below, and I'll try and help you out. yes, let me know if there's something I've missed, and I'll make sure to definitely put that in there for you guys. And I hope you guys enjoyed. Peace out, catch you in the next video.